have accumulated quite a large number of books. It just feels like Percy's head is shoved so far up Joey's ass. Why is everyone else having this book and I'm not? Maybe I'm the problem. Sexy man walks by, bit of a mysterious vibe, and you're just like, oh wait, he's a bit of me. I saw this and I was like, wait, he's hot. Just, you know, unaliving a bunch of monsters, okay? If you're gonna basically make me wait 150 pages, let this man be on the floor begging to talk to her. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It is like how we start every video recently, midnight. I just got home from meeting up with my friend, and before I took my makeup off, I thought I would start this little reading vlog. Anyway, what inspired me to start this video? I recently got Lightlock. I've been hearing about Lightlock for ages, but I just never thought it was my vibe. And what do you know, your girl's in a fantasy mood. I have accumulated quite a large number of books, which is why this reading vlog is going to be specifically focused on getting my physical TBR down. Like, I want to get it down so much this year. Now, I'm just going to give you guys a quick little run through of the books that I am currently reading. But The Will of Many, like I explained in my last video, is basically a fantasy series. I believe it's supposed to be a trilogy, and there is actually a pyramid, and you have to seed your will, so your physical strength, your mental abilities, everything, to the higher ranks in that will. So if you're the lowest, you seed to the 7th highest, and so on and so on and so on. And then if you're at the very top, you have like hundreds of thousands of people seeding their will to you, which makes you stronger, things like that. Now Viz, which is our main character, his family, he used to be a prince, and his mum and dad were unalived by the hierarchy. Is that what it's called? Literally, yeah, it's called the hierarchy. The hierarchy, this new government. And he's basically seeking to get revenge. He's in this academy and he wants to figure out what's going on. That's all I'm gonna say. It is quite a complex book. I'm halfway through and I barely understand what's going on. Like, if I don't think too hard, I understand it. If I start to ask questions, I don't understand it. So let that be the judge of that. You know, you tell me if that seems like I understand it. Then the next is Lightlock, and I'm not entirely sure what this book is about, but so far from what I get is that there's 6 different realms, and each realm has a ruler, and like 600 centuries ago there was a curse placed on them. So these realms, they all have different powers, but when this curse was placed on them, it basically, like, the one thing, like the powers, basically the thing that they were so good at, basically became a curse within itself. Take a shot every single time I said basically. And then obviously we have Deep Cuts, which is basically a romance-ish book about this girl and this boy. This boy's really good at making music and writing music, and she's really good at figuring out what's off with a song and giving him advice and trying to fix it. Kind of like 2000s white girl rom-com. I'm like an hour in. I think I've got 7 hours left, but while I'm like doing chores, like, you know, on the way to work, things like that, I will be listening to the audiobook. So that is at least one physical book off my TBR. Hi guys, if you hear games going on in the background, my brother is currently playing FIFA, so let's just ignore that. Also, the time I'm recording, England is about to play Argentina in a few hours, and I really hope that England wins, because France was obviously, I really hope France would win, but they lost. And I do have some updates for you. So The Will of Many, I am now this much through. I've got this little bit left, literally less than 40 pages. I do plan to finish it today. I don't know what I would rate this book. Like, obviously I haven't finished it, but this book has just been so confusing, but like also the world building has been so incredible and so amazing. I definitely have plans to continue the series. I just don't know what I would rate this book, but I did have a good time with it. I did feel very close. I do feel very close to the characters, and I will say when you go into this book, it can be quite confusing, especially if you're like a beginner when it comes to reading fantasies. This is more of like, I want to say an epic fantasy. Again, my terminology could be incorrect, but it just feels like like an epic fantasy and what's at stake, and you learn so much about the different characters. And even though I'm so close, there's still so many questions I have, which is why I want to pick up the second book, but I'll probably pick that up in a few months. But that's my current update on this. That is almost one book down from my TBR. And then I have been listening to deep cuts, and I would like to say that when I was like, I'm now over 50% through the book, when I was less than 50% through the book, I was not enjoying it. I'm still not really enjoying this book. Anyway, I think previously I said to you, this is a romance. This reads more as a literary fiction, right? And even with that in mind, I think because I went into the book thinking it was a romance, it kind of, number one, messed up how much I could have liked the book, and number two, Joe, the main male character, is so annoying. He just seems like he has such like narcissistic tendencies. It's genuinely crazy. This book is essentially about Percy and Joe, which they meet in college, which is obviously the UK's uni, and Joe wants to be a singer, you know, he wants to be in a band. Percy cannot sing. She's not very good when it comes to necessarily making music on her own, but she's great when looking at lyrics, deciphering lyrics, figuring out what would go well, change the chorus, the melody, things like that. So that's essentially what she's been helping Joe with. Okay, now you follow them, which now we're like, they've graduated. I think Percy's doing her masters, Joe is traveling the world, and he is singing. And it just seems like Joe is using Percy simply because she can fix his, or help, you know, improve his music. That is the only reason why. I personally do not think he necessarily really cares about her. And it seems like Percy's just obsessed with, not even obsessed with him, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not gonna do my girl a disservice, but it just seems like, babe, stop out of it. Don't be a bad. Come on. That's literally how I feel. I was in the shower, I was listening to this audiobook. I don't think you understand how many times I was like, what? I was like, babe, I was like, really? Like, babe, please, like, for me, like, can you realize that this man doesn't care about you? I was washing the plates, this man does not care about her. I don't care. And honestly, it was giving me PTSD. I'm gonna be so real, it was giving me PTSD of my bad experiences. I'm gonna be so real. And do you know how bad the male character has to be, or like how just like conniving he has to be? I just feel like he shows up when he wants to show up, and it's always perfectly suited for when he needs something out of Percy. Like, that's genuinely crazy. And that, like, anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. But I am now, like, I want to say maybe 60% through the book. I have 3 hours and 35 minutes left. You can't see that. Anyway, I do have to do a thumbnail, which will probably take me around 40 minutes. So I do have plans to listen to this book while I'm doing the thumbnail, and I will probably finish it tomorrow because I'm finally organizing my clothes and my wardrobe. And I also did pick up Lightlark, which is currently upstairs. I'm almost 40% through. It's just taken me a little bit to get into. I don't know why. I'm just having such a difficult time getting into it. I don't know if it's because I'm switching between like this book and then Lightlark, so I'm just kind of going in between the two. But in this video, I would really like to finish Lightlark, which I think is very doable because it reads really fast. So this book will be finished today. I have work, but I don't know if I'm going to finish it before or after work. But I'm just going to read a little bit before work, because it's only, I'm not sure it's spoiled for myself. Wait, that's pages, don't I realise. I have like 30 pages left. Guys, I think I can finish this. I'm sure I finish this. I just came back from meeting up with my friend, so please ignore the state I'm in. I think my glasses is a little smudged as well. I don't want to talk about it. But before I start doing some work before bed, I did want to say that I'm finally 132 pages into Lightlark, and I've also finished The Will of Many. I finished that yesterday and I did rate it 4 stars. I don't know why I was about to say 2 stars. Guys, the ending, I feel like I've just been smack talking this book this entire time, but the ending paid off. I only understand like 90% of it, I will be completely honest with you, but that his mind, James Islington's mind, is absolutely crazy. And yeah, I don't really know what to say, because I feel like my brain has just been fiddled with. That's actually a great description of the book. And when it comes to deep cuts, I did organize my clothes today and listen to quite a bit of it. I've got like 2 hours left. I do have some more chores to do tomorrow, so I know Karen said I'm gonna finish it. I just, again, I don't really like the book. I've literally been, which I feel like I've literally just been hating on this book, but I genuinely have not been loving this book whatsoever. Like, I can't really tell you why I haven't been loving it, because at the beginning I was just like, but I don't really care. And then as we got towards the end, it just feels like Percy's head is shoved so far up Joey's ass, she can't see how badly he treats her and doesn't care for her. I said it. He does like one nice thing and she's like having an existential crisis. Baby, get your head out his ass. I don't know what to say. This is why I haven't been reading romance. It's not a romance book, don't get me wrong. It is reading more like a literary fiction, but it focused heavily on like two characters' relationship. So you can say it has some romantic elements, but this is literally why I haven't been able to pick up a book that has any sort of romance in it apart from fantasy, because sometimes you want me as the reader to feel sympathy for a guy or to even sympathize with the girly, and it's like, baby, get your head out of his ass, baby, snap out of it, snap, come on. That's how I feel. And every single time I feel bad because I'm like, why is everyone else having this book and I'm not? Maybe I'm the problem. There, I think, is a little bit of a romance between Isla and Grimm, one of the other characters from the other realm, but again, I don't really know. Also, what I will say about this is that Isla is like, it's in third person, so the author will be like, oh my gosh, she's trained so hard, she's so smart, she had to survive the winter by herself, you know, to prepare for the centennial, and then she just kind of forgets all her training, like not physically but like mentally. Like, if you've been going through these different trials since you were born because your guardians are preparing you for this, but then sexy man walks by, bit of a mysterious vibe, and you're just like, oh wait, he's a bit of me, and you get distracted again, just like Percy, babe, snap out of it. Why am I not liking any of the books that I'm picking up? I really don't like when I'm reading or doing a reading vlog and I don't like any of the books, because it makes me feel like I'm a hater, and I'm not, guys, I promise. Yeah, I'm gonna finish Deep Cuts tomorrow. I'm gonna make it my mission, because I need that book off my physical TBR, and I don't think I can ever recommend that book to anyone unless you really like music and you like a toxic relationship and you like when a girl does not know her worth. That book is for you. If you don't like any of those things, then I apologize, because that book is not for you. Actually, I don't apologize. You should congratulate me or thank me, because I'm basically helping you read a book you won't like. Okay guys, I don't want to talk about how I look right now. I don't want to talk about it because the last time you guys saw me, I'm sure some time has passed. I don't even remember the last time I picked up the camera. As you could probably tell by the fact I haven't posted in 3 weeks. Now, I hit a book slump. I want to blame it on the fact that I was reading fantasy book after fantasy book. I even picked up Shield of Sparrows because, you know, it's such a popular book. I am 39 pages in. Obviously, you guys know I was reading Lightlark. I just finished reading The Will of Many, which I mentioned in this book. There were just so many chunky fantasy books, Lightlark is not one of them, that was putting me in a book slump. And I just realized I need to pick up something brief and chill, like The Loved One, what is called Loved One? Oh wait, because if it's called The Loved One, it feels like more impersonal, but Loved One feels more personal to you, especially if you can relate to the story. Anyway, before we get into that, I want to talk about Lightlark, which is over there on my TBR cart, which I also want to show you guys. But I have been reading Lightlark. I haven't been asking my friend whether they've been reading it, So that's my bad. I will give you a bit of an update whenever. But yeah, Light Lock just wasn't doing it for me. I do plan to finish that tomorrow. I know I've been saying that throughout the video, but I'm going to get it on my cupboard. I don't care, and I'm going to force myself to read it. I've got about 200 pages left, which is doable for me to do in a day. I just have to really push myself. The issue I have with, I don't know her name, but the issue I have with the main female character, the FMC, is that she claims from a very young age that she was essentially like boarded up in her castle and taught how to play this game, and has been basically trained to have the best survival skills. You know what I mean? Like, essentially, imagine training your child for war. Like, baby, they finna be locked and loaded. Cool. She is so ditzy. She is so ditzy, and my thing is it just kind of like clashes with her background, because you have like, she was trained like a warrior, but then she sees a cute guy and she's like, wait, what about if I mean something to him? And it's like, get out, snap out of it, snap out of it, because it's like, babe, your background isn't matching up to how you're acting, and I don't like that. If the female character is going to be ditzy, which I don't personally love when they make them like that in like fantasy books, because it just feels like very generic and like, yeah, I've read this before. Anyway, if she's gonna be ditzy, don't act like she was trained as a warrior or trained to be prepared for this game. It just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Anyway, I just plan to finish it because I purchased it, so I always force myself to finish books that I purchase, unless they're extremely bad. But I will not be continuing the series because I'm not enjoying it, and I'm just not going to force myself to continue like a 5-book series if I don't even like the first book. And if anyone says the second book will be better, I'm a very impatient person when it comes to like books and like series. I at least need to enjoy the first book. With like, for example, The Will of the Many, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but I still enjoyed some parts of it, and the ending was so good where I'm like, you know what, I will go into second book. I don't think this ending is really gonna like be like, wow, oh my gosh, they think it was amazing. I don't think it will. Anyway, that then led me to pick up Shield of Sparrows, because again, I've heard everyone speaking about it, and I was like, oh, I don't want to get FOMO, let me pick this book up. But you know what also made me pick up this book? Guys, look at this. I saw this and I was like, wait, he's hot. Is that supposed to be the Guardian? He's hot. I'm sorry. We have O, otherwise known as Odessa, and she is from this kingdom, and there's 4 different kingdoms, and they often marry each other, basically. Like, oh, kingdom 1's gonna marry someone from kingdom 2, you know. Anyway, and I just want to put a disclaimer, I just got back from work a few hours ago, literally an hour and a bit ago, so my brain's kind of, yeah. Anyway, and it comes to it now. Guy walks in, and her father, the king, is like, so are you happy with the person you're supposed to marry, which is Odessa's younger sister? And the prince is like, well, actually, I don't want her, I want the other one. Oh, the other daughter that I haven't prepared to marry you. Oh, the other daughter that I actually haven't really cared about ever since her mother passed away. Oh, okay, that one. The other daughter that I haven't trained to spy in your kingdom for whatever reason. I don't want to do that. But the king is, you know, forced to basically let Odessa marry the prince from this other kingdom. And her dad wants her to find out the location of this specific city that a lot of people are constantly trying to figure out, but the prince is very, I would say, reserved and doesn't offer up many like secrets, because he knows that this marriage is only like a political marriage. It's not necessarily a marriage, obviously, of like love. And this happened, like the plot happened, like I want to say like within 50 pages, maybe 70. Guys, I'm on 239. Why are they still traveling to his kingdom? And I kid you not, nothing has happened apart from the Guardian, who is the prince's like right-hand man, but also acts really weird and sometimes flirts with Odessa. Just, you know, unaliving a bunch of monsters, okay? And that's it. That's it. And my thing is, right, I understand that this is a series. I don't know if it's supposed to be a duology or a trilogy or such and such, whatever, who cares? Why am I reading more than 150 pages and they're still in the forest? Baby, where's my thing? Where's my... Like, I know, like, yeah, I've got this much to read, but it just feels like I'm just, like, give me something. The flirting's even not all that. Like, if you're gonna basically make me wait 150 pages, let this man be on the floor begging to talk to her. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I think it's a bit of a love triangle going on, because the prince doesn't really want to talk to her. The guardian, the prince's right-hand man, literally flirts with her, and then he disappears for 20 pages. And the flirting is not even flirting, it's just like, oh, you like that, didn't you? Oh, you scared? You're scared, little princess. And then Odessa's like, well, no, I'm not a scared little princess, da, 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 da. But in her mind, she's like, oh, damn, I really am a scared little princess. I don't know if I'm even explaining this right. I'm just frustrated with the books that I'm reading. Like, I had a good streak with fantasy books, so I really thought I was back into fantasy. This book and Lightlark have actually made me not want to read fantasy, and I've got so many fantasy books on my physical TBR. Anyway, that being said, I decided to put fantasy books down because I realized they weren't doing it for me. And that's okay. As a reader, sometimes, baby, sometimes you just gotta put the book down, okay? So it was a soft DNF for Short of Sparrows, because this book is way too thick for me to try and force myself to read it right now. But I picked up The Adults by, I think it was Alison Epoch, and she wrote The Wedding People, which I absolutely loved. I love that book so much. And then obviously I saw Loved One, and they're doing buy one get one free, so I was like, oh, why not, why not? So this book is basically about Julia. We're following Julia, and Julia has a very close friend called Gabe. They dated briefly when they were super young, just before college / university, and then they met up again when they were in their 20s, but they just kept it friendly after they dated briefly. I'm just gonna say it to you, I don't think it's that much of a spoiler, but Julia ends up hooking up with Gabe 1 month before he passes away, and he ghosts her. So Julia, Gabe dated briefly, met up again when they were 20 years of friendship. They hook up, he ghosts her for a month, and then boom, he passes away. And now you're following Julia, you know, on this whole journey with her grief. And as you can see, I have been annotating this book. This is the first book that I've annotated in a year, just because there were so many beautiful quotes from this book that I really felt like I just wanted to underline, tab. And I feel like this is, like, I've never lost anyone where I could relate heavily to this book, but there were certain aspects that I could also relate to, if that makes any sense. Like the loss of being close to someone, but not necessarily them passing away. And I hope that doesn't sound insensitive, because I know they're obviously two very different losses. I want to show you guys a quote where he said, "When we met, I felt an immediate ease with Gabe, but Manuel had tapped into something. Gabe was someone who puts everyone at ease. I'd been one of the beneficiaries of this, but not the only one. Same tour, different cities." But even the one where, like, she's talking about him, because Gabe was like a popular indie musician, and she says, "This was how it was when you were out with him. He could be the absolute center of someone's world, or he could be a random guy sitting in the back of a restaurant." But I just feel like it's beautiful how she remembers him, and how we're constantly switching between present and past, and like just the different memories she has of him. And she talks about like she talks about certain relationships, and she says, "It was the kind of relationship where in the aftermath you didn't even consider yourself single, you were just recovering. I didn't want to be with anyone, not like that. I had work and I had my friends, that's all I wanted." And it's just like, oh guys, this, if you're looking for a book that's a little bit funny, really small, fast-paced, I would definitely pick up this book. I binged this book in like maybe 4 days. It's just such a beautiful book. But I just wanted to update you guys with how I'm feeling about this book. I feel like if I picked it up when I was a little bit more emotional, because I'm not really that emotional, I'm kind of busy right now, in the sense that I feel like I can't really connect with the book as much. I think this would have been like a 4-star or 5-star for me. I am going to still give it a 4-star on Goodreads and Fable, just because the writing is so good. I feel like it deserves that. But it's sitting more at like a 3.45, maybe. yeah, I'll say a 3, not 3.45, sorry, a 3.5. But this book is so beautifully written. I don't know if this author has any other books, but I definitely want to check it out. I just think I had to get away from the fantasy scene and check out more like romance, or I think this technically counts as literary fiction. That's what I would categorize it as, but it could be women's fiction a little bit because it focuses on 2 women. I'm going to finish this tonight and then you guys will hear my final thoughts. I've got about 54 pages left, so we'll just binge it, and yeah, we're getting closer to our reading goal. So hey guys, this video basically took me a month to record. I have new nails and everything. I reached a book slump. Middle of the video, was not enjoying any of the books that I was reading, so that's why it took me so long. But I just wanted to do a quick recap of all the books that I read in this video for you. So the first book that I read and finished is The Will of Many. I did rate this 4 stars on both Fable and Goodreads, but it read more like a 3-star. I had like a 3-star feeling, but the ending made it feel like it was worth it. And from what I've seen in the different reviews from people that have read the entire series or up to the 2nd book, I think, because the 3rd book isn't out, they've essentially said the first book is just like a prologue, like a massive prologue for the 2nd book. So I am trusting their words, and that has influenced my reading a little bit because I do think it has set me up. Like I said in the video, I also still do not fully understand the ending. I'm not going to spoil what happened, obviously, but like I wish one of my friends had read the book so I could be like, what the frick happened? To be honest, I could just search up. Then I was reading Deep Cuts, and as you could also tell throughout the video, I was not enjoying that book whatsoever. I did not like just the dynamic between Percy and I even forgot his name because who cares. I did not like the dynamic between Percy and Joe. Joe 100% used Percy for his own benefit. Percy, the only thing Percy got out of it was, oh, this guy that I have a crush on is showing me attention while still treating me like trash. There was no resolution. There was no character development, and again, we stayed in Percy's head throughout the whole entire book. So maybe if we saw more of Joe's POV, I could have sympathized with him a little bit better, and I could have felt like, oh hey, I understand. But the same way how he was in college/university is the exact same way he was towards the end of the book after Percy has finished their masters. I think they were like almost 30. Like there was no character development. Percy herself, again, very stunted character development. There'd be 1 or 2 times that she'd be like, oh, okay, like, I need to improve on this, I need to work on this, but it just wasn't enough for me to feel like I have grown with the characters and like, oh, I should actually enjoy like reading about them and watching them change. So this book is, I haven't even rated it. I think I'm either going to give it a 2.5 or a 3. I feel like I can't give it 3 stars because maybe I'll give it a 2.75 because majority of the time, the books that I rate 3 stars are just like mediocre books. This wasn't even like necessarily a mediocre book. I just didn't enjoy it. And then I did finish Lightlark. Now, Lightlark, again, when I was complaining about how Isla was acting compared to her background, like they described her as being trained like a warrior because she was preparing for this like centennial that happens every 100 years, so they knew that it was coming. And the way how she was acting during the centennial and how like she just wasn't acting as if she had been trained like a warrior, that is more explained, or like it makes more sense once you finish the book, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, I see it. But also I wish we could have, like, if we had the, like, other people's POVs. So, don't get me wrong, the plot twist would have been spoiled, but at the same time, we would have also been able to sympathize with her a little bit better. It would have been like, oh, okay, you know what, you're not acting like a complete and utter twat. Anyway, I will probably give Lightlark about 3 stars. I know I said I wasn't going to continue the series, but I think it's just, like, a fun-ish little book to pick up when I'm looking for a quick fun read, but I will not be getting the physical book. I read it so much faster on my Kobo. I literally don't know why, but I read it so much faster. But those are all the books that I read for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know what other videos that you want to see from me book-wise. I am about to film my June TBR, so yeah, I'm excited. Alright, bye guys. Bye bye. Quite a while since it is. I was like, let me look at some of the reviews. Oh, there you go. Okay, So Shield of Sparrows, we have I believe her name's Odessa. Wow. Wow.